We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 318. So it's a really chaotic week, a really busy week for me. I'm having a hard time getting all the tape done. Not all the tape is done for this video, so any fights that I haven't fully taped yet, I'll let you guys know, and hopefully by the time I put out my shorts and any of the breakdowns and notes that I put up in House of Stims, that's where you get all my bets, my notes, and my breakdowns. All of that will come out a little bit later this week as I get through the tape. But today we'll do what we can. I'll try not to keep today too long. I'll try not to drone on for too long. And yeah, let's do a quick recap of last week, and then we'll jump right into it. So last week we had UFC Nashville. It was an annoying event because I feel like most of my bets outside of Calvin Kattar were pretty good, and maybe not the Justin Tafa decision, but the Tafa Tokos fight goes the distance at plus 400. I don't think that was a terrible bet, but the Tafa decision was a bad bet. The Calvin Kattar bet was a bad bet, but we cashed Walter Walker plus 170. That was obviously a great play. Jake Matthews came in clutch at plus 124 for a unit. And then I thought that the Nate Landwehr bet was a good bet. I mean, it was a Nate fight. He was plus 220. He was taken over after that second round, and I personally felt like he was going to take the third. Obviously, we don't know, but the live line seemed to have agreed with me. And then he gets knocked out. So it is what it is, but I feel like that was a good bet, and it's one that I would make again. And then Stephen Thompson, I mean, come on. I think we can all agree that was a good bet. I thought he won. I get it that not a lot happened in round 3, but can we decide? Like, I'm fine with it. I'm one of the few people that thinks cage pushing is fine, because to be scored, because if you can't get your back off of the fence, that means you're losing. That's your own personal problem. But that's not what our scoring criteria is. It's damage over control. So can we follow the rules? We can change them. I'm cool with that. More grappling is cool with me. But for most people, that's not going to be the case. And if the judging says criteria say damage over control, you should probably be giving that round to to Wonder Boy, considering Bonfim didn't do anything other than cage push. It is what it is. So that sucked to lose that bet. And Lauren Murphy round 3. I mean, it was always going to be a long shot, but damn, did that come close. So I don't think that was a bad bet either. Literally any one of those hitting variants going the other way would have been a profitable night. But this is life. It happens. We can only move on. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to move on. We're going to pull up the card for this week. They keep changing the buttons on StreamYard, and it's confusing me, but I think I got it. Okay. I need to make this a little smaller. Maybe a little bigger. All right. And what's up, William? Thanks for coming in here. So far, we got 22 of you guys watching. Let's see if we can get those likes going. Keep those likes up. We've been doing pretty good with that. Last week was a little slow, but I do appreciate all you guys, and I appreciate all your support. We hit 1 million views. That's pretty cool. That felt good. 2 million next. And we're almost at 3K subscribers. So again, thank you to all of you guys who watch this stuff, whether it's live or later on in the week. All right, let's start off UFC 318, though. We got Carli Judice versus Nicolle Caliari. Judice, she's 4-2-0, 26 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Caliari, 8-3-0. She's 28 years old, so she's 2 years older. She's 4 inches shorter, though, and she's given up 6 inches in reach. I don't agree with the line. I think the line's a bit much. I think we all can still agree that Carli Judice is very green. She has a lot of great attributes. She's athletic. She's got power. She's explosive. She's talented in that she doesn't have much experience, but she's already a really good striker. She's already putting it together really nicely, really nice combinations, mixes it up really well. She's aware on the feet, good at creating angles, and her takedown defense is pretty good too. Now, that said, her takedown defense hasn't exactly been tested all that much. I mean, Gabriela Fernandez, as big and as strong as she is, she's a striker who normally struggles with grapplers herself. Karis Kite, she's not a grappler whatsoever. And her last win over Unessi Dubin, I mean, first of all, she knocked her out clean. That was beautiful. But Unessi also does not grapple. So she's athletic. She's a great striker, but she's very green still. And I would argue that her ground game is still very untested. Now, on the other side with Nicolle Caliari, she's also pretty young, not as young, probably doesn't have as high of a ceiling, in my opinion, just based off of what I've seen with my own two eyes. But she's decent. You know, she's not bad. She's got pretty good grappling. The wrestling, I would say, is all right. It's not elite wrestling, but it's pretty good. She can get solid takedowns. Her control is okay. And she does have some sneaky submissions up in her arsenal. And I do think that's a way that she can win minutes here. I don't know if she's necessarily going to submit Judice. I think maybe she can because Judice is green and Caliari is a pretty good submission grappler. But at the same time, like, Judice seems to me like the type who can fight out of things, who's very, very tough, and is not going to be easy to submit. So I lean towards that being a no. And Judice will have the much better cardio here. I do think she can push the pace. I do think she's likely to win the third round, probably the second, and she probably could win the first two. I just think the price might be a little bit too wide considering she is still green. We still have questions. And Caliari's not awful, and she does have some grappling upside. That said, I do think Judice wins. I don't really have any interest on playing Caliari. I do want to tape this one a lot more and look into it a bit more. But as of now, it's Judice for me. I'll go decision. I guess theoretically a finish is possible too. Just because she knocked out Dubin, I'm not going to pretend that she's some kind of just round one knockout threat now, but she clearly has power and she's accurate and has nice kicks. So I do think that's something she can use later in the fight when Caliari might be the one slowing down, whereas with Judice, she's probably not going to slow down. All right, next up, we've got Brunno Ferreira. Excuse me. We got Brunno Ferreira versus Jackson McVey. Ferreira, he's 13-2-0, 32 years old. He's 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. On the other side, Jackson McVey, he's 6-0, undefeated. He's going to be 26 years old. He's 6 years younger. He's going to be 6 inches taller, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. Now, Jackson McVey originally supposed to fight Cedric Dumas like 2 weeks ago, something like that. Then he was supposed to fight Christopher Ewart. That fight fell off because Ewart missed weight by like 10 pounds, and thank God because I had 2 units on him. And now I'm concerned about that. So yeah, so for this one, I am wondering if the double weight cut is going to mess with McVey. I do think that could be a problem. But outside of that, like, he's the much bigger guy. That's for sure. I think that in the clinch, he could pose issues to Brunno Ferreira. And, you know, while he's never been outside of round one, we don't necessarily know that he has bad cardio. It's just untested cardio. Whereas with Brunno Ferreira, we know he has bad cardio. He slows down pretty damn hard, but he is super explosive. Even though I think he's way undersized for the division, he does have a lot of power. He's a decent enough striker. I think at range, he could struggle with McVey a little bit, but I don't really see McVey as a guy who's kind of pawing the jab and using like teeps to maintain the distance or like having great footwork. I don't really see that from him. He's kind of more of a plotty, move forward guy, clinch you up, work you in the clinch, and try to finish you that way or get an opportunistic sub somewhere in that exchange. So I could see McVey giving Ferreira problems. I can, especially if maybe his cardio ends up being pretty good and he survives the initial onslaught from Ferreira. But I do think that Ferreira is probably the better striker. I'm pretty confident he has more power. I'm pretty confident he's the more explosive guy. And he probably has a grappling upside. I think his wrestling and his takedown defense, both defensively and offensively, I think he's going to be better. And with the submission grappling, like he's decent in that department too. I don't necessarily think that McVey's going to present major issues to him, though. But that said, I'm not betting Brunno Ferreira at minus 500 or 600. I never am. I could consider maybe a KO prop, but I don't like laying chalk on those because you never know. And if anything, it would probably be a Jackson McVey like quarter unit play for me, but I don't think it's going to happen because I need more info because the info I have, I don't love it. I don't love his style, and I just don't really know how to rate him because this competition has been so terrible. So for now, we'll go Ferreira round 1 KO, but we'll see where we end up at the end of the week. Need you guys to hold with me for a second. All right, sorry about that, friends. Next up, we got Ryan Spann versus Lukasz Brzeski. And can you guys wake up in the chat? What is this? Is there another show going on? Why do I got nobody talking to me right now? I don't see any shows going on. I see Beat the Line broadcast is going later tonight, but not yet. Hop in, guys. Talk with me. Let me know what you think, what you agree with, what you disagree with. It's always way more fun that way. But next up, we got Ryan Spann versus Lukasz Brzeski. Ryan Spann going to be 22, 11-0, 33 years old, 6'5" with a 79-inch reach. Brzeski on the other side, 9'6" and 133 as well. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have let's call it a 1 inch reach disadvantage. For me here personally, I think it's a major dog or pass. I'll say that much. I don't really trust either guy, but I don't mind trusting Brzeski at decent underdog money most of the time because he's not great, but a lot of these guys he's fighting are also not great. And Ryan Spann, I understand he had some okay wins when he was a light heavyweight and he fought the better competition. But can we talk about the wins real quick, first of all? And then we'll talk about the grappling because I think that's important too. Okay, OSP in 2024, right? The Dominic Reyes performance, I'll give it to him. Reyes was not at his best, but I'm not going to take that from Spann. That was a great win. Ian Cutelaba, probably even more inconsistent of a fighter than Ryan Spann is, if we're going to be honest here. And then he had wins over Misha Serkinov, Sam Alvey back in the day, Devin Clark. Let's not pretend he's coming out here and beating studs. And he's not exactly handling the bad competition super easily either. I mean, come on, Sam Alvey split decision. And you can say, okay, that was many years ago. He only got older. He's 33 now. He's probably past his prime. And then the main thing I've been hearing this week about why he's so much, why he's the rightful favorite, why the chalk makes sense, because he can grapple Brzeski. When has he done that for a prolonged period of time? When has he ever been able to do that for over a minute and a half? Never. He immediately falls off of a cliff. And he doesn't have great control. He'll get a takedown, sure. Probably could. Brzeski doesn't have the best takedown defense. But first of all, Brzeski's takedown defense, I think, will hold up later in the fight when Spann's gas tank is starting to go, because that explosiveness in his takedowns really diminishes after round one. And he's not a technical wrestler. He depends on his athleticism, his power, his explosiveness, and that all goes with the gas tank. So I think that he's very likely to finish Brzeski in the first round. That's why I think he's the rightful favorite. I will say he's probably the more skillful grappler. I don't really think he's all that much more of a skillful striker, but it is what it is. I'll give him both ever so slightly for the striking, solid advantage in the grappling. But that's in round one. Round 2, 3 Spann, to me, I don't think he's much better than Brzeski at anything. And Brzeski's going to fill the space. Brzeski's going to throw a lot more output. Brzeski does have good get-ups, and Brzeski he's gonna have the better cardio in my opinion, and he's gonna be the better minute winner. So for me, if I'm going to make a play here, it's going to be Brzeski. I don't know if I'm going to because I am worried about his chin. That's for sure. Spann does hit hard. Brzeski is very chinny, doesn't have great defense. Completely understandable. So I get it. But for me personally, I can't do it. If anything, it'll be like a live bet where maybe Ryan Spann beats him up in the first round. Just a lot more athletic, powerful, strong, hits harder. But after that, maybe I'll hop in because I think in an extended fight, Brzeski wins this more often than not. So stuff like that is what I'm interested in. Maybe live bets, maybe Brzeski decision, stuff like that. We can move on. I don't even want to pick Spann. I'm just going to pick Brzeski. All right, real quick, let me turn up my AC. All right. Next up, we got Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. Jimmy Crute, 12-4-2, 29 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. Prachnio on the other side, he's going to be 17-8-0. He's 37, so he's going to be 8 years older. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to have the same reach. Don't have a ton of interest in this fight. I have some interest in Crute, maybe ITD, Crute submission, Crute. See, the problem with submission is I think he has such a big advantage on the ground that a ground and pound TKO is probably live too. So I lean a bit more towards like an ITD. And then I'll look at the numbers once they're on the domestics. Like if either KO or sub or there's too much of a difference between the two, maybe I'll pick one of them. I think both are possible. I just think that Marcin Prachnio, he's a decent minute winner. He's good at kind of doing not much and getting his opponents to do the same thing, and then he'll just fill the space. His output's not bad. He's a solid striker. He's got decent enough kicks, but his grappling is not good. His cardio is not good. I had Modestas against him, and I was very concerned because Prachnio was just doing more, and Modestas was doing Modestas and not doing anything. And then Prachnio got tired. Modestas was able to finish him in the third. Crute's going to do everything until he gets exhausted and can't do anything. I don't think Prachnio's got the danger to put him away, but that's where things get greasy. That's why the man has 2 draws on his record and not that long in between each of them. So that's the problem with Crute. He's also super inconsistent, and sometimes he can kind of just blow it way too early, and then he doesn't have much left in the gas tank. Skill for skill, I think he's better than Prachnio. I think he's a better boxer than Prachnio. I think he's a better wrestler than Prachnio. I think he's a much better submission grappler than Prachnio. I worry about his chin a bit, but again, not so much against Prachnio, who himself is quite chinny. So, yeah, Jimmy Crute for me. I think he subs him early, but it's tricky deciding a way to play it when he's minus 300, and he's not exactly the easiest person to trust. Next up, we got Adam Fugitt versus Islam Dulatov. Fugitt 10-4-0, 36. He's 6'1" at the 77-inch reach. Dulatov 11-1-0. He's 26, so he's 10 years younger. He's going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 2-inch reach disadvantage. I do want to catch up with the chat because I saw Jammer over here driving, but he's dialed in. Appreciate you, Jammer. Jack Tripper. These fighters got more red dots than. Oh, he's talking about their losses. What's up, McMuffin? All right. So for this fight, again, not a ton of interest. I think Dulatov is a really good prospect. He's huge. He's got a great frame. He's a really, really talented striker. He's really fast. He's got a lot of power. His kicks are really nice. The combinations are really clean. His grappling is a little bit untested, but I don't really think that Fugitt's going to give him much problems in that department. Fugitt's a serviceable wrestler, a serviceable grappler. Maybe once Dulatov is tired, maybe that's something he can do if he can extend this fight. But outside of that, I just kind of think he's outmatched here. He's outmatched in skill. He's outmatched in just, what's the word? In hardware. Shout out my guy Dogfather. So, yeah, I think Dulatov should get it done, but I'm not going to back him at a price like this when I don't know what he's going to look like extended. When he was fighting Antunes on the Contender Series, I had Antunes, and he was about to get Antunes out of there. And then when he didn't, for a second there, it looked like he was exhausted and like he might start fading. But then he got the finish anyway. So I think it's possible that Dulatov can kind of fall off a cliff and Fugitt could take over, but I'm not super tempted to play him pre at 36 years old when I think he's outmatched quite a bit by the younger guy, the bigger guy, the more talented guy. So going to be Dulatov for me. I guess we can go KO1, maybe live entry on Fugitt, or I got to think about that one a bit more. Next up, we've got this fight should be something, that's for sure. We got Ateba Gautier versus Robert Valentin. Ateba, he's going to be 7-1-0. He's 23 years old, 6'4" with an 81-inch reach. Robert Valentin on the other side, he's 10-5-0. He's going to be 30, so he's 7 years older. He's going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's going to be giving up 4 inches in reach. Look, I'm probably going to bet Valentin. I'm not going to front. Ateba is a great prospect, absolutely ridiculous physique, absolutely gifted when it comes to just the power, the strength, the build. And he's already pretty talented. His striking is good. He has an okay-ish gas tank, although he does seem like he might slow down a little bit. And the takedown defense is okay. Okay, I mean, it needs some work, but he's working on it, and it's not bad. The athleticism helps, and he's 23 years old, so we can expect improvements. But look, I know everybody's low on Valentin, and I know he's a punching bag. I know he's super hittable, and I know it's entirely possible Ateba knocks him out, but Valentin's got a lot more experience. Valentin's fought much more difficult opposition, in my opinion, and I think it's not even quite close. Who's Ateba's hardest fight? I'm not sure. Probably his loss, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think that Ateba probably knocks him out in the first round, but I don't think it's like a 80% kind of thing or like a 70% kind of thing. He probably I do think he knocks him out. I just also think that Valentin can really test his grappling. I know that Valentin's also not the greatest wrestler. It's not really his thing, but he's an opportunistic grappler. He's a guy who can throw in submissions when you don't expect them. He's a guy who maybe a club and sub is on the table. Maybe a takedown is on the table. Maybe a back take off the fence is on the table. Maybe a front choke by pulling Ateba down a bit is on the table. I don't know. I think Ateba is the rightful favorite, but I could not back him at this price. And I'm surprised people are kind of just dismissing Valentin altogether. I think that he is also a really dangerous guy. He's also pretty dangerous on the feet. I know his defense isn't up to par, but is Ateba's defense all that good? Are we sure? I don't think his defense is all that good. So I think Valentin can land big shots, and I think Valentin could possibly finish him too, possibly on the ground. So for me, it's a major dog or pass. I haven't played anything yet, and as an official pick, we'll go Ateba round 1, but actually round 2. I feel like Valentin might clinch a bit. All right. I like this fight. Next up, we got Francisco Prado versus Nikolay Veretennikov. Prado, he's going to be 12-3-0, 23 years old, 5'10" with 69-inch reach. On the other side, Veretennikov, 12-6-0. He's 35 years old, so he's going to be 12 years older. He's going to be 3 inches taller. Nope. He's going to be, 3 inches taller, and he's going to have let's call it a 5-inch reach advantage. Blazing Ben saying you want a lock parlay, Zell Huber and Kevin Holland. Yeah, and you're going to lay what, minus 300 on it? We'll get there. But for this fight, I like Veretennikov quite a bit here. I don't understand for the life of me why Prado is at welterweight. I get it. Maybe it was a hard cut for him to lightweight, but like he's 23 years old. It gets harder when you're older, okay, but he's 23. This is normally when you would be cutting the weight, and you're not a big lightweight. Maybe you're a thick lightweight, but you're not that big, and you're not that physical. Like, it's not like he was out here just like completely out physicaling people, out muscling them at lightweight. He wasn't. And now he's moving up. He goes against Jake Matthews and is able to offer nothing. He got 1 takedown, and that's it. He wasn't able to do anything, couldn't reach him, couldn't find him, had no alternative game plan of what to do if things weren't going right. He's a fun fighter. He's aggressive. He brings the pace, the pressure. He'll always move forward. He's a decent enough striker. He's got some pop to his punches, but he's extremely hittable. He's pretty flat-footed. He doesn't move his head whatsoever. And Veretennikov is going to be much bigger. Veretennikov goes to the body really nicely. And unlike somebody like Ryan Spann, who does not maintain his range, Veretennikov can maintain his range. He'll teep. He'll use the jab. He'll use the long-range weapons. He'll do that. But then the added thing is, when you do close the distance, his clinch game is sick. It's probably one of the strongest aspects of his game is his clinch. He's very strong in the clinch, and he's got really nasty knees. He'll mix in some elbows. And I can't really imagine what Prado is going to do here. Like, I know people are very low on Veretennikov, but he had a competitive fight with Barlow when everybody still loved Barlow. Now they don't like him because they lost their parlays when he got knocked out by Patterson. But he had a very competitive fight against a very tough Barlow. That was a close one. And he was like a plus, 400 underdog. I was on him there. And then he got cooked by Austin Vanderford. But Austin Vanderford is not a small man, and he's also an elite wrestler. Two things that Francisco Prado, like, he's a small guy for the division, and he's not a great wrestler. He's not. So I don't know what he's going to do to Veretennikov. I guess it's still MMA. We've seen smaller guys knock out bigger guys. That's possible. But I consider Veretennikov pretty durable. And if I think he's more durable, he's the bigger guy. He's got a lot more to offer at range. He's going to have a huge size advantage, so he can use that range. He's going to be much stronger in the clinch. He's going to be better in the clinch. The knees in the clinch are going to be a huge weapon. And honestly, if anybody is able to mix in takedowns here, it's probably going to be Veretennikov. So for me, I can't even understand this line whatsoever. I don't understand how Prado's the favorite. I don't get it at all. People really love the guy. I don't understand it. I played Matthews against him, and I think Veretennikov is the side here as well. I lean towards him doing it by decision, but I'm not counting out a finish because Prado doesn't have defense. McMuffin saying over 2.5 here, lean Veretennikov. I know some folks on the over 2.5, and I don't hate it at all. It looks like it's getting steam, though. It's down to minus 175. Fight goes to minus 120 on BetOnline, but I'm assuming the limits are low. We're still on the prelims. All right. Next up, we got Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. Marvin Vettori, 19-7-1. He's going to be 31 years old, 6 feet tall with a 74-inch reach. Brendan Allen on the other side, he's going to be 24-7-0, 29, so he's 2 years younger, going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. This is one of the fights that I did not tape yet. I just haven't. I know a lot of smart people on Marvin Vettori. I can understand it. As of now, pre-tape, the way I feel about it is they do match up pretty well. I think that in the striking, it's probably pretty close. They both have decent boxing. They both have decent combinations. I think Brendan Allen might be able to use the range a little bit better, but Marvin Vettori may be a little bit better boxing in the pocket. And then it really comes down to who's going to be more capable of getting the takedowns and stuffing the takedowns. I think Vettori might shoot. I think Brendan Allen might shoot. I lean towards Allen being the better grappler, but at the same time, again, this is pre-tape. I could see a world where Brendan Allen tries to take down Vettori, can't, has to stand with him, and it just plays out 50-50, which in that case, it would be good to be holding the Marvin Vettori money line. What is it now? It's plus 175. Like, I don't hate that. Gun to my head, if you made me play a money line right now, it would be Marvin Vettori. I do lean towards Brendan Allen being the side, just as the younger guy, the better jiu-jitsu, just a few more ways to win, in my opinion, and I just think he's looked in better form for the most part, despite I know he's coming off of 2 losses, but like the Imavov fight, Imavov is about to fight for a title, or he's very close. He's going to fight Brunno first, and actually I think Brunno is going to win, so he won't fight for a title, but high-level dude. And then Hernandez, like Hernandez does that to everybody. Like, Vettori's lost to Cannonier. That was 2 years ago. But then he's been inactive. He had the Roman Delice fight. I did not love that performance whatsoever. But Delice's been doing pretty good too. He's just also inconsistent. Yeah, I'm not going to waste too much time on this one because I still need to tape it in full. I will put out a short for all the fights when I get a chance. And if you're in the House of Stims Discord, that's where you get my notes, my bets, my breakdowns. I usually only post my notes or my breakdowns when I post a bet. But if there's ever any fights that, I haven't posted because I maybe didn't bet on them, but you want the notes anyways, just hit me up. I have all of them. We'll go with Allen by decision for now, but that's pending tape. We're still on the prelims. How many fights do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right, next up we have Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Kyler Phillips, 12-3-0. He's 30 years old, 5'8" with a 72-inch reach. Oliveira on the other side, he's going to be 22-3-0. He's 29 years old, so he's 1 year younger. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to be at a 2-inch reach disadvantage. This is a sick fight, probably one of the best fights on the card after Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. And I just think it's a little bit of recency bias. I understand that Kyler Phillips, like, you can argue that it's not recency bias because this is the second time that he's gassed out, which is fair. But he's also had performances where he had great third rounds, where he was able to hang in there, where he did still look good. And it's something he can work on. I mean, at this point, he's 30 years old. He's still relatively young. He just got to 30. He was 29 not long ago. Last fight, I think. Yeah. And with Vinicius Oliveira, he's 29 also. He's had a lot more fights. I think he's a bit more of a developed product, but he's also a guy who we've seen a lot of improvements from. But I also think that there's a lot of hype behind him because of those wins. I get it. Like the Said Nurmagomedov win is a big underdog. That was a good win. The Ricky Simone win was great. Ricky just didn't also had a bad game plan. And then the Bernardo Sopaj fight, like it's a great win in that Sopaj is a great fighter, but it wasn't that impressive of a performance. I had Vinicius there, and I thought we were losing that bet up until he got that last round knockout. So the way I see the matchup, right, on the feet, not answering that comment, shrizzled, because thank God that has not appeared on my feed. Thank God. And I would like it to stay that way. But let's go piece by piece here, right? So first off, cardio, we'll give it to Oliveira, but honestly, I think his cardio is being a little overrated too. Like, it's not like he doesn't get tired either or slow down either. He does. We'll give level of competition to Kyler Phillips. I like where Kyler trains better, and I've said for a long time, and I still believe it, that he's the best bantamweight at MMA Lab, not Sean O'Malley. And in terms of skill for skill, how do they match up? Like on the feet, like, can we really say that Oliveira is more technical than Kyler? I don't think so. I think Kyler is the more technical striker. He's the one always setting up angles, angling off after his shots. His counters are nice. His kicks are really clean. I don't love all the spinning stuff, and it's not great with his cardio, so I would like for him to do that less. But in general, I think that his striking is really nice. He sets it up really well. The combinations are really good, and he's very fast on the feet. Vinicius Oliveira also pretty fast. Good jab. I would say that his strikes are maybe a bit straighter, more down the pipe, but he can swing pretty wild too at times, leaving himself up open for counters. I think that his defense is not great. I think Kyler has the much better defense out of the two of them. I do worry about that for Oliveira. And while, yeah, Oliveira has shown great takedown defense, I do think that Kyler can take him down. I do, because Kyler, unlike a lot of the other guys he's fought, is also a major threat on the feet. If you're just worrying about the takedowns, then he's going to light you up upstairs. So you have to kind of focus on both. And because of that, I think Kyler might have a little bit of an easier time taking him down than some of the other guys. And I also think that his jiu-jitsu is on another level compared to somebody like, let's say, Sopaj or even Ricky. Like, I think Kyler has better jiu-jitsu than Ricky. I think Kyler probably has better jiu-jitsu than Saeed as well. Saeed has really nice front chokes, but I think that the jiu-jitsu of Kyler is probably some of the best that Vinicius has seen. And I can see him taking the back. I can see him submitting Vinicius. I can see him winning a decision where on the feet it's close. He's landing the cleaner shots. Oliveira's landing the bigger shots, but Kyler's mixing in some takedowns. I get it. The cardio is a huge concern, and I can understand why anybody would want to stay off. But for me, the side is Phillips, and I am going to pick him to win by decision. All right, next up, we got Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber. Johnson, 23, 19, and 39 years old, 5'10" with a 73.5-inch reach. On the other side, we got Daniel Zellhuber. He's 15, 2, and 26. So he's 13 years younger, going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. So Michael Johnson's been looking okay at 39, right? He had the Zaitar win, the Darius Flowers win, but like, he's had some good wins. The DKC one was good too. But like at 39, I feel like his durability is going. He has taken so much damage throughout his career. I think that he still is the same inconsistent fighter. I don't think that's changed, but he does have all the skills. He is a really good striker. His wrestling's not bad either. He's got solid takedown defense. I feel like Zellhuber's probably going to knock him out. Personally, I feel like Zellhuber's going to knock him out maybe in like the first or second round. I think he's just going to be so much cleaner on the feet. I think his counters are on point. I think at 26 years old, he's still rapidly improving. I know he has that loss to Ribovich, but like Ribovich just is nonstop forward pressure and just in your face and takes away. I talk about it all the time with longer guys who need their kicks, who need their range to take away that space from them. Michael Johnson doesn't really do that. He doesn't really like back people up these days and take away the space and make a concentrated effort to be in their face the whole time. I don't really see that from him. So I just feel like Michael Johnson, while his output could be really good and his striking is some of the best in the division, even to this day, I still think that Zellhuber, with the ranginess, with the kicks, with the counters, with his movement, is just going to be a bit too much for Johnson. I think he knocks him out, but I think he can win a decision too. I do understand the plays on Johnson. It's just not one that I want to do. We'll go Zellhuber. Nah, I think he's going to knock him out. All right. Next up, we've got Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. And I agree with you, Daniel. Definitely agree with you. We got Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. Dan Ige, 19, 9, and 0. He's 33. He's 5'7" with a 71-inch reach. Pitbull on the other side, he's going to be 36, 8, and 0. He's 38 years old, so he's 5 years older. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to be at a 6-inch reach disadvantage. Tricky fight for me. If not for that Yair Rodriguez performance with Pitbull, I feel like I would kind of want to take the dog shot on Pitbull. Not because I think Danny Gay is bad or anything. I think he's a great fighter. I just think they match up really well. I think they have very similar skill sets, but I think that Patricio Pitbull has better jiu-jitsu out of the two of them. So at this price, I would be on that all day, but I am worried that he's washed. I am. There's a possibility that he looked that bad, that flat, because Yair is a really tricky guy on the feet. That's just a fact. And it was his, it was his UFC debut. It took him many, many years to get here. He was 37 when he did it. So it's possible, you can give him a little bit of slack. That could explain it. And it could be that he comes into this fight completely different and actually pushes a pace. And in which case, I think this is a very close and competitive fight, because I can't tell you where Dan Ige is that much better than Pitbull. His striking is good, but Ige is not like a super technical, crisp boxer or anything like that. He's not a lethal kicker. He's just a good striker with a ton of power. That's it. He's a solid striker with a lot of power. And he's a durable dude. He brings the fight. He brings the pressure. He's going to be in your face. So, of course, I think he's the rightful favorite. He's been in the UFC much longer. He's fought some of the best guys. He's given all of them really good fights. He had a good win over Sean Woodson, who is a really, really tricky guy at his size. So I understand it. I can't help but be a little bit tempted on Pitbull because, again, I do think he's got the skills. I do think he can maybe mix in some wrestling. I do think he can maybe mix in a back take here and there and win a round. I do think he can hurt Ige on the feet maybe. I don't think he'll finish him, but I think he can land big shots. I think he can compete with him in the striking, but he's definitely been regressing as he gets older, and I do have to lean with the Ige side here. I don't have a play. I don't think I'm going to have a play, but I'll go with Ige by decision. I still consider Pitbull pretty durable. What is Ige by decision? Yeah, not that good. Plus 110. Okay, moving on. We got Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Kevin Holland is 28, 13-0, 32 years old, 6'3" with a 81-inch reach. On the other side, we got Daniel Rodriguez. He's 19, 5-0. He's 38, so he's 6 years older. He's 2 inches shorter, and he's given up 7 inches in reach. So, real quick, my guy Daniel picking against Pitbull until he proves me otherwise. Yeah, I can respect that. So, for this one, look, I'm so confused. I'm so confused. People were so done with Kevin Holland 3 fights ago. And now he's minus 410 because he knocked out Lukasz, who everybody collectively agreed was washed, and beat Gunnar Nelson. And that was a good win. I get it. And I get that D-Rod is 38, and I get that he's pretty on the wash side. He can't really take punches as well as he used to. He's a lot slower. He's very plotty, very hittable. But I don't think I could ever get behind Kevin Holland minus 400, minus 500. I think the last time I saw a number like this was against Charlie Ontiveros, and he felt the need to grapple there. I know that usually Kevin Holland only struggles with grapplers. I get it. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for D-Rod to make this competitive on the feet. He is still a good boxer. He does still throw a lot of output. He still is relatively fast. It's just that Kevin Holland's going to be faster. Kevin Holland is going to be a lot more accurate, a lot more dangerous. When Kevin Holland throws down the pipe, it's nice, clean, straight, and it lands hard. He's got a great jab. He's got good kicks. He's a really good striker. Kevin Holland is a really good fighter. He just has a lot of mental lapses that are a problem, but I think he should be okay here. I understand it. I understand picking him. I personally cannot understand backing him at minus 400 when he's let people down as much as he has. That I don't get, but I do understand him being a favorite. I do think he wins. I do think he can knock out D-Rod. I just don't think I'm going to get involved, but we'll see. Let's go round 2. Maybe round 3 even. I think D-Rod could make it that far. All right, we got our co-main event of the evening. We've got Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. Costa, he's going to be 14-4-0, 34 years old, 6'1" with a 72-inch reach. On the other side, Kopylov, he's going to be 14-3-0. He's 34 as well. He's going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have a 3-inch reach advantage. I haven't taped this fight yet. This is another fight that I have not taped yet. Duo asking, real quick before we hop into this one, Duo asking, has Holland ever lost to someone like D-Rod? Let me think. Let's go look. That's the best way to do it. Let's see. He didn't look good against Nicolle before the finish there, but that, I guess we can say that was at middleweight. Let's see. Ponzi, I guess, is similar, and he didn't knock him out. He cooked him there. I'll give him that. Let's see. No. To your point, he hasn't really lost anybody like D-Rod, and I don't think he's going to lose to D-Rod. I can't lay minus 400, and I think that's kind of irresponsible, personally. All right. So back to the Kopylov-Costa fight. I have not gotten to tape this one, unfortunately. I think I have a pretty good read on them. They're both strikers. Paulo Costa, a ton of power. He's a pretty good technical striker, but sometimes he could really wait to counter. He doesn't necessarily lead exchanges as much as he should. He's been very, very inconsistent. Now, granted, he has fought high-level competition, so we can give him credit, but he's also been super inactive. I don't know where his mind's at. He's not really much of a grappling threat. He has mixed it in occasionally. I don't expect him to come out here and try to grapple Kopylov. I think Kopilov's faster. I think Costa hits harder, but I think Kopilov's going to be cleaner, sharper, better kicks. Just think he's going to do more. I think it's a fight that's going to play out on the feet, and I just think he's going to do more. And I think that's really all he's going to need to beat Costa. I consider Kopylov pretty durable. I don't really think that Costa's going to knock him out. He hasn't really knocked out anybody in quite a while. And I just, yeah, I don't really want to put money on Costa, who I don't know where he's at. I don't know how hard he's training. I don't know how serious he's really taking MMA. And while Kopylov might not fight on the widest of margins, he can pull away. He does work the body really well, and he's just a super clean, technical, very fast striker. So, yeah, for me, I like Kopylov. I'll pick Kopylov by decision, but I do need to tape that one still. So that is pending. All right, we're up to our main event. We got Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3. Max, he's going to be 26, 8-0. He's 33 years old, 5'11" with a 69-inch reach. Poirier on the other side, he's going to be 39-0. He's 36. He's going to be 3 years older. He's going to be, 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. So, look, I know a lot of people are on Poirier, and I get it. He's the underdog despite beating Max twice. He's the one fighting at home. But it is also his retirement fight. And in MMA, we've learned that fairy tale endings really rarely happen. So I'm not necessarily going to just say, oh, he's fighting in New Orleans. He's already beat him twice. Like, he's 100% going to win. Like, I don't necessarily think that's true. And I think it's going to be a close fight. Like, does Dustin Poirier hit harder? Yes, as of now. But Max Holloway, now that he's actually bulking up and moving up to 155 for real, I think he's got some power too. I know that the Justin Gaethje knockout wasn't so much power. It was attritional, and then he just found the button. He got the perfect spot where to knock him out, behind the ear. But I do think that he's going to have more power now than in their previous outings. I do, and I think that I trust Holloway at this stage of his career to be the one throwing more output, and I don't really factor in any grappling here whatsoever. So it's going to be similar to the other fights, but I think that Holloway is the fresher fighter. I think Holloway, is going to throw more strikes this time around, more output. And I think that Holloway's power is going to be much more comparable to Poirier's than in the past. Now, Poirier, yeah, he's a better boxer in the pocket, that's for sure. And he has the more dangerous jiu-jitsu if he does get it to the ground. But I think Max has worked on his grappling a lot at this point. I don't really expect Dustin to be out here and shooting takedowns, especially because he's fighting at home, and I think he wants to put on a show, and they're going to put on a show, that's for sure. So I think it's going to be on the feet, and I think it's close, so I get why people are going Poirier, 50-50-ish fight. Why would you not go with the underdog who already has 2 wins over him? That's kind of why I put some money on Katie Taylor this past week. It's just similar. I don't know anything about boxing, but I had bet on her the other times. Nothing much seemed to have changed. And yeah, it worked out. But could be the case here for Poirier. For me, I lean towards Max. Now, that's that could be because I'm biased. There's Max over there, my favorite fighter. I think he is my number 1 favorite fighter in the UFC. I love the dude. I love his style. I love everything about him. I love his career. But I also just don't love the retirement fight for Poirier. Like, the fact that it is a retirement fight, he already knows that. I just never think that's a good mental, even if it's in your home state and they're kind of setting you up for this fairy tale ending. I personally think that Max Holloway is just going to win a tight, close decision where he's just landing more, has the cleaner rounds, and gets it done by decision. That's the way I'm leaning. I do think that the fight goes the distance. I don't think they're going to finish each other. I think they'll land big shots, maybe wobble, hurt each other, win moments that way, both of them, but I don't think either one's going to finish. And that's really it for me, guys. It's a shorter show today by quite a margin. I just have a lot going on and wasn't able to do a ton of tape on some of these fights. Some of them I did. Tried to do my best with you guys for this week. If you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, you can only get that at the House of Stims Discord. The description of this video has that link inside of it. And you can also just hit me up and I can set you up. You can hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram. You can hit me up on Discord. Any of that works. And my YouTube shorts will come out this week. I'm shooting for it. Hopefully, like, realistically, it'll probably be Thursday, but maybe tomorrow. And hopefully by then I'll have done all the tapes. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you guys all for the support. Do you think the last KO will have any impact on Max? Oh, that's a fair thing to bring up. I know a lot of people are talking about it, and it could. I mean, it could. He's a human being, and that was how long ago? It was 8 months, so that's good. But he is a human, and he took a huge shot from Poirier. But we know that you can come back from a Poirier knockout because Volkanovski didn't. He came back, fought a very hard hitter in Diego Lopez, did get hurt at one point, but soldiered through and won that fight. So do I think it'll have an impact? It could. It could have impacted his chin. It could maybe make him a little bit more tentative, but I just don't really see that in Max. I don't think he's going to be tentative. And because of that, I tend to think he's going to be okay. He took the right amount of time off. 8 months should be solid. And normally he has a good chin, and Ilia Topuria at this point has proven to have ridiculous power. So I think he's going to be okay, but it's a fair concern for sure, especially since he's at chalk, being the guy who's 0-2 against Dustin Poirier, who's fighting at home in his retirement. So I get it. I get the concerns. But Max, always responsible about brain health, aware of it. Yeah, he does his best, but he is really hittable. He takes a lot of damage, my guy Max. I love him. I love him for it even, but he takes so much damage. Would be nice if he just wrestled a little bit here and there. But all right, guys, thank you guys all for tuning in. Peace out and good luck this weekend.